वेलकम बैक माय डियर स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम डिस्कस करने जा रहे हैं एंडोस्पर्म। व्हाट इज एंडोस्पर्म, हाउ इट originates, okay, what are different types of endosperm, then finally what is the role of endosperm in angiosperms. अगर हम खुद को याद दिला दे, we talked about male gametophyte and female gametophyte. Male gametophyte produces male gametes, two male gametes or sperms, while as female gametophyte produces the egg cell. It has synergids, it has polar nuclei and the antipodals. During fertilization, what happens is the pollen tube grows, it moves through the stigma, styler tissues, and ultimately it reaches the embryo sac. Once it reaches the embryo sac, one of the two male gametes fuses with the egg and results in the formation of zygote. This zygote, it develops into embryo, and embryo gives rise to plant. Okay. The other male gamete, it moves towards the center of the embryo sac and fuses with the polar nuclei and results in the formation of PEN, primary endosperm nucleus. This primary endosperm nucleus, it originated as a consequence of fusion of three nuclei. It formed because of fusion of three nuclei. So obviously its chromosome number will be 3n. It will be triploid. Okay, and this PEN, which is triploid, formed as a consequence of fusion of two polar nuclei and sperm nucleus, it gives rise to endosperm. Okay, it gives rise to endosperm, and this endosperm is nothing but a nutritive tissue in angiosperms. Now we will talk about the details of endosperm in angiosperms. Endosperm, it is the most common nutritive tissue for the developing embryo in angiosperms. It is the most common nutritive tissue. That means in majority of the angiosperms, the nutritive tissue is composed of the endosperm. Now what is endosperm? Endosperm is a nutritive tissue which develops from primary endosperm nucleus. In terms of both its origin as well as development, the endosperm, it is unique in the angiosperms. It is a unique tissue in angiosperms with respect to its origin as well as development. It originates from PEN. It does not originate from the zygote. That is why its origin is unique. And the way it develops, it is also different from the other tissues. Okay, so you can remember that endosperm in angiosperms, it is unique with regard to its origin as well as development. And functionally it is comparable to female gametophyte in gymnosperms. अगर हम gymnosperms की बात करेंगे, gymnosperms do not form PEN. Okay, they do not form endosperm. Instead, in gymnosperms, the female gametophyte itself plays the role of a nutritive tissue. The function of nutrition is done by the female gametophyte itself. So, functionally, we can say that the female gametophyte of gymnosperms and the endosperm of angiosperms, they are comparable. They are functionally comparable because they are doing the same function. They are doing the same function of nutrition. The female gametophyte in gymnosperms, it differentiates before fertilization. Fertilization से पहले बन जाता है female gametophyte. You can say the nutritive tissue in gymnosperms, it differentiates before fertilization and is haploid. ये haploid होता है. Remember this, it is very much important. The endosperm in angiosperms is, however, the product of fertilization and is usually triploid. अगर हम एंडोस्पर्म की बात करेंगे जो एंजियोस्पर्म्स में होता है, it is a product of fertilization. It forms after fertilization and is usually triploid. In majority of the cases, you will find that it is the cells of endosperm are triploid. they are having 3 sets of chromosomes. The endosperm, it develops from primary endosperm nucleus. I have already told you. It develops from primary endosperm nucleus, which is the product of triple fusion. So you are having this female gametophyte. There is egg cell, 2 synergids. In the center we are having polar nuclei. At this chalazal end we are having the antipodals. One of the male gamete fuses with this egg and forms zygote. That is clear to you. Another male gamete, it moves towards the center and fuses with the 2 polar nuclei. This results in the formation of PEN. And this PEN, it is not diploid, it is triploid because it has formed as a consequence of fusion of 2 polar nuclei and 1 sporum nucleus. It is having 3 sets of chromosomes. It is 3N. Okay. This fusion of one male gamete with 2 polar nuclei, this is known as triple fusion. So you can remember that primary endosperm nucleus, which forms the endosperm, it is the result of triple fusion. Okay, it is the result of triple fusion. PEN forms as a consequence of triple fusion, while as zygote forms as a consequence of syngamy. There are some angiosperms. There are some families of angiosperms that do not show endosperm formation. कुछ एंजियोस्पर्म फैमिलीज है जिनमें एंडोस्पर्म नहीं बनता है. We have 3 such families: Orchidaceae, Podostemaceae, and Trapezae. These are the 3 angiosperm families that do not form the endosperm. In other cases, endosperm forms. Now, in majority of the angiosperms, the endosperm forms, depending upon whether the endosperm is consumed by the developing embryo or whether the endosperm persists in the mature seed. Accordingly, we have 2 types of seeds. Okay, so in those cases where the endosperm forms, it may either be consumed during the development of embryo or it may persist in the mature seed. And accordingly, we are having 2 types of seeds in angiosperms. The first category is non-endospermic or X-Albuminous, और second one है endospermic or albuminous. So what are non-endospermic or X-Albuminous seeds? In these plants, the endosperm is consumed by developing embryo, and hence the mature embryo lacks endosperm. Example is pea and beans. In these cases, the endosperm is consumed entirely. The whole endosperm is consumed during the development of embryo, and as such, the mature embryo, it lacks the mature seed, it lacks the endosperm. वो seeds जिनमें क्या होता है, the endosperm is consumed wholly. None of the endosperm remains unconsumed. So the mature seed, it lacks the endosperm. These are known as non-endospermic or X-albuminous seeds. Now the second one is endospermic or albuminous seeds. In these plants, the endosperm persists in the mature seed and supports the growth of embryo during seed germination. Examples are cereals, castor and coconut. In plants में क्या होता है? A part of embryo, in these plants, a part of the endosperm is consumed during the development of embryo, while as another part, it persists. It remains unconsumed and persists in the mature seed. This portion, this part of the endosperm, it is used to support the growth of embryo during seed germination process. तो 2 तरह के seeds होते हैं, non-endospermic. इन plants में क्या होता है? The endosperm is consumed entirely during the development of embryo, and as such, the mature seeds, they lack the endosperm. And endospermic seeds are those plants in which the mature seed, it contains some part of endosperm. That means the endosperm, it persists in the mature seed, and this endosperm, it supports the growth of embryo during seed germination. One important thing that you will remember here, in monocots, almost all the species, all the plants, they have the endosperm. That means they are endospermic. There is one exception that you will remember, elisma. Elisma is a monocot that lacks endosperm. That is non-endospermic. All monocots are endospermic except elisma. This is very much important. Now you can see here, this is a monocot seed having endosperm. This portion here, this yellow portion, it represents the endosperm. This is the seed of maize. Okay, this is a monocot seed showing endosperm here. Now dicotyledonous seed with endosperm. This is a dicot seed having endosperm. That means it is endospermic. Here this portion, it represents the embryo. It is the embryo, and this white portion here, it is the endosperm. Now dicotyledonous seed without endosperm. Here you can see this is a bean seed. This bean seed, it does not contain any endosperm. These two lobes, these two fleshy lobes, they represent the cotyledons. Okay, in bean seeds you will find the cotyledons are swollen. They store the food material. Okay, the cotyledons, they themselves store the food material. There is no endosperm in bean seeds. So this is all about the endosperm and the types of seeds based on presence or absence of endosperm. In the next part, we are going to talk about the development of endosperm and the types of endosperm based on development. Till then, take care.